On Christmas Eve, Seo discovered a little girl sleeping on trash. The incredible truth transforms his life. David Green, the shining star of Philadelphia's tech scene, strutted through the glimmering holiday party, every inch the successful CEO. His sleek suit gleamed under the chandelier lights. Laughter twinkled like the city's decorations outside. He was the man everyone wanted to know, a juggernaut in the corporate world. But beneath this glittering facade, a chill crept into his heart. As he accepted accolades and clinked glasses in the festive atmosphere, a heavy emptiness loomed. Sacrifices made for ambition haunted him. Leaving the party, David was met with the cold bite of winter's breath. The city glowed with holiday spirit, yet his heart felt dim. When he caught sight of her, huddled against a wall, surrounded by a pile of discarded remnants of Christmas excess, was a little girl no more than 7 years old. Her clothes hung loose, revealing fragile limbs, and frost clung to her hair like icicles. In that moment, a war raged within him. Corporate training whispered for him to keep his distance. He couldn't get involved. Could he? But then, he saw her shivering, her small, fearful eyes peering up at him. A longing for help glimmered there, an appeal that tugged at a chord deep within his soul. What happened? He whispered, as he crouched down, the distance between them shrinking. Lily murmured softly about her mother, about being left alone to fend for herself in a world that had turned its back. As she spoke, memories of values long buried rushed back. David felt his heart constrict. A tightness in his chest echoed with the responsibility he could no longer ignore. He glanced around, the laughter from the party now a hollow echo. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The moment hit David like a gut punch. He learned that Lily was not just any girl. She was the granddaughter of a revered veteran, a man who had fought bravely for the country, enduring struggles that now seemed forgotten by the society it had once protected. David's mind raced, jockeying with his emotions. This wasn't just a child. This was a reflection of all he had built his success upon, all he had overlooked. As he stood there, surrounded by the remnants of a well-heeled life, David felt the scales tip. If he helped Lily, his peers would shrug it off as naive, a reckless diversion from the all-important bottom line. He could almost hear their dismissal echoing in his mind. Yet, as Lily's gaze drilled into his soul, David recognized that this small, frightened girl represented a much larger crisis, a mirror held up to his own life. David desperately mulled over his next steps. Could he risk everything he had built, the prestige and accolades that defined him, for an uncertain future with a child who needed him? The laughter of the party fades, and standing between glitz and despair, he saw a chance for redemption. With raised heart and trembling hands, he reached out to her. The deciding moment had come. Would he step down from his castle of corporate ambition to help a child in desperate need? As David extended his hand, Lily stepped closer, her eyes wide with hope tinged by fear. There, in the heart of Philadelphia, on the coldest Christmas Eve, destiny held its breath, waiting to see what would unfold next. As David's hand hovered just inches from Lily's tiny, trembling fingers, the weight of the decision loomed like a storm cloud above him. His breath caught, felt as if time stalled. The sounds of the city dimmed, leaving just the pulse of his racing heart, echoing like a drumbeat in the silence. Please, she whispered, and her voice cut through his indecision like a blade. With that single word, she reignited a flicker of compassion that he thought had been extinguished by the years of relentless pursuit of power and success. The chill of winter became inconsequential in the face of her vulnerability. David took a deep breath and closed the distance, enveloping her hand with his. It felt fragile and small, and with that touch came a rush of emotion and acknowledgement of the desperation she faced. a stark reminder of the world he had turned away from in his climb to the top. "You're not alone anymore," he promised, his voice steadier than he felt. He scanned the surrounding darkness as if expecting someone to emerge, but the street remained desolate. David knew this was a decisive moment, one that required action beyond mere words. He couldn't just whisk Lily away to a warm home and a cozy bed. He needed a plan. "Can I take you somewhere safe?" he asked, his eyes seeking reassurance in hers. Lily's gaze held a glimmer of hope mixed with uncertainty. "But my mom," her voice was barely above a whisper, and it cracked with fear, the weight of her predicament heavy in the air. David felt his own resolve falter. The reality of her situation painted a complex picture. Could he promise to help her mother, too? "Let's find her," he said, determination flooding through him. "We can look together." As he spoke, fresh resolve settled over him. It was no longer just about helping one child. It was about rekindling a sense of responsibility that he thought he'd lost. David swiftly took out his phone, the warmth of its glow cutting through the night. He dialed a number that had always responded to crises, a charity he had previously brushed aside as peripheral to his life. "Hi, I need your help." His voice steadied as he shared Lilia's story. The voice on the other line was calm and professional, offering solutions and quick responses, but David's attention lingered on Lily. She watched him with wide eyes, optimism twinged with trepidation. He could see the flickers of trust beginning to form. It was a fragile bond, but it was building, and for the first time in years, he felt alive not just in a corporate sense but in a way that resonated with purpose and human connection. "Let us get you some food first," David said gently, kneeling again to be at her level. "How does that sound?" A grin slowly crept onto her face, hesitant yet bright, like the dawn breaking after a long night. She nodded, her small hand squeezing his tightly. "Can we have hot chocolate?" David chuckled. "Absolutely. Hot chocolate is a must." As they began walking, David felt a heat radiating from their intertwined fingers, warming him from the inside. This wasn't just a charity case. This was a child who reminded him of the joy he had lost. Each step they took together resonated with newfound hope. But as they ventured into the holiday-lit streets, a shadow pulled at the back of David's mind. Where was Lily's mother? What awaited them as they sought her out? The question loomed, and David couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much bigger than he had anticipated. What would he uncover as he pursued her mother? What consequences lay in the wake of his decision to act? As they walked, the crisp air filled with the smell of roasted chestnuts and cinnamon wafted through the streets. Brightly colored lights twinkled above, casting a glow that illuminated the faces of passers-by. But David's heart was heavy. He caught glimpses of families together, laughter mingling with the sounds of caroling, and in that moment, he felt the emptiness of his own life, the distance from those joyful connections he once cherished. "What's your favorite thing about Christmas?" he asked, trying to lighten the mood. Lily paused, her eyes sparkling as they danced from shop windows to sparkling decorations. "The lights," she exclaimed with a sudden burst of enthusiasm. "And the snow. And especially hot chocolate." The way her face lit up made David's chest ache with yearning to protect that joy. They reached a small cafe, its windows fogged with the warmth inside. The bell above the door chimed softly as they entered, the rich aroma of cocoa wrapping around them like a warm blanket. David led her to the counter. "2 hot chocolates, please," he ordered, adding marshmallows at her delighted insistence. They found a cozy corner, and as Lily sipped quietly, David couldn't help but marvel at how such a small creature could evoke such profound change in him. "What about your mom?" he asked gently, wanting to bring her back to the reality they faced. Lily's eyes dimmed for a moment, her small fingers tracing the rim of her cup. "She works a lot. She says it's for us. But sometimes, I get scared she won't come home." The vulnerability in her voice nearly made David's heart stop. "Do you know where she is now?" "Not really. She told me to wait at the bench by the park." But her voice faltered, and David felt a tight knot form in his stomach. He wanted nothing more than to reach through her uncertainty and give her the answers she needed. As he paced through potential scenarios in his mind, David felt overwhelmed. What if we looked for her after this? He suggested. Maybe she's just working late. David hoped the words he spoke would bring comfort, but uncertainty clung to the air. Lily nodded, but the spark of hope in her eyes was starting to flicker out. His phone buzzed on the table, a sharp reminder of the world outside their fragile cocoon. It was the charity, the one he decalled before. "Excuse me, let me take this," he said, stepping away. The voice on the other end was efficient, outlining steps they could take, local shelters where her mother might be. David's mind raced, trying to absorb everything. When he returned, Lily was staring into her cup, her small face a mask of worry. "What's wrong?" he asked, kneeling next to her again. "I just want her to come back. I miss her," she said, her lips quivering. David's heart wrenched. It was painfully clear how much she relied on the hope of her mother's return. "We'll find her, I promise," he said, his voice firm. But as he said the words, doubt crept in. "What if they didn't? Can we go now?" she asked, her voice trembling with urgency. David nodded, resolve hardening within him. "Let us go. We'll check the park first." As they stood, the weight of what lay ahead pressed down on him. The streets felt alive with laughter and joy, yet here they were two souls on a mission, and the world around them felt unyielding. Together they stepped back into the night, the chill biting at their skin, but somehow, the closeness of each other's presence wrapped them in warmth. But in that moment of clarity, an unsettling thought flickered in David's mind. What if this search led them somewhere he wasn't ready for? What realities awaited them in the shadows of the night? And as they approached the park, uncertainty thick in the air, David couldn't shake the feeling that the journey ahead would test not just their resolve but their souls. Would they find the girl's mother? And what would they uncover along the way? The park loomed ahead, its trees silhouetted against the starry sky. As they stepped inside the gate, the sounds of laughter and music faded, replaced by the soft crunch of snow beneath their feet. David glanced down at Lily, her little face shielded by a fluffy pink hat. She looked so small, so brave on this expansive quest. "Do you want to call out for her?" David suggested, hoping his voice sounded more confident than he felt. Lily nodded, her eyes scanning the empty benches. "Mom!" she shouted, her voice bright but tinged with desperation. It echoed softly in the stillness, and for a moment, hope flared in David's chest. They walked further down the path, the snow crunching rhythmically with each step. David's mind raced with questions. What if they found her mother? What would he say? He glanced at Lily, her cheeks flushed from the cold, determination etched across her features. He needed to be strong for her. "Do you want to check the playground?" he asked. "Maybe she's there?" "Okay." Lily's enthusiasm, however faint, sparked something inside him. He led her down the snow-dusted path, stepping carefully to avoid hidden ice patches. As they approached the swings, a shadow moved nearby. A figure was huddled on a nearby bench, bundled in a tattered blanket. David's heart dropped as he stepped closer, uncertainty washing over him. Could it be her mother? "Lily, wait a second," he whispered, holding her back gently. The figure looked up, revealing a weathered face lined with age and fatigue. But it wasn't Lily's mom. The woman's eyes were dull, and a tired expression settled on her features. David felt a wave of sadness crash over him. There were so many lost souls in this big city, and tonight, as the holiday spirit filled the air, here was a stark reminder of those who were left behind. "Excuse me," David said softly, stepping closer with Lily still beside him. "Are you okay?" The woman blinked slowly, her gaze shifting between David and the little girl. "Just resting," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. Lily, sensing the sadness in the air, tugged on David's sleeve. "Do you think she's okay?" David crouched down to speak directly to her. "I think she needs some help," he said gently. "What do you think we should do?" Lily furrowed her brow, deep in thought, then said, "Maybe we could share our hot chocolate?" David was taken aback by her kindness. "That's a great idea." As they approached the woman, Lily pulled her small thermos from her coat. "Here," she said, holding it out with both hands. her heart glowing with the innocence of childhood. The woman's eyes widened in surprise, and she hesitated for a moment. "Thank you, but I wouldn't want to take your drink." "Please," David urged. "We can share." The woman took the thermos carefully, her hands trembling slightly. He could see the conflict in her eyes, the struggle between pride and desperation. The warmth of the cocoa felt like an offering of hope, a reminder that even in darkness, small lights could break through. As the woman sipped, a flicker of gratitude softened her expression, and David couldn't help but feel that they had made the right choice. In that small act, they were extending a hand to someone who needed it. But just as a sense of relief washed over David, the thought came back: what if they didn't find Lily's mother? What if their search turned into more heartbreak? "We should keep looking," David said finally, glancing down the dimly lit path. The flickering streetlights guided their way like beacons of hope against the shadows. As they turned to continue their search, David couldn't shake the feeling that the night would reveal more than just Lily's mother. Would their hearts hold up to whatever they uncovered along the way? With renewed purpose, they pressed on through the cold night, the chill biting but the warmth of each other's company pushing them forward. David's heart raced with anticipation, unsure what the next turn would reveal. Was this the moment where they would finally confront the truth, their biggest surprise yet? The crunch of snow underfoot accompanied their hesitant steps, each sound a reminder of the vast emptiness surrounding them. David held Lily's hand tightly, her little fingers warm against the chill that seeped into his bones. They walked deeper into the park, the path illuminated intermittently by the flickering streetlights, an eerie glow casting long shadows. "Do you really think we'll find my mom?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her bravery seemed to waver in the cold night air. David looked down at her, the quaver in her tone wringing his heart. "I believe we will," he replied, and hoped the intensity of his conviction could be the light guiding them through this dark moment. "Your mom is strong. She'll find her way back to us." The park felt larger than life with every passing minute. The trees, heavy with snow, stood silent as if holding their breaths, waiting for a miracle. David's thoughts drifted to memories of family nights filled with laughter. He wondered if Lily's mother was somewhere nearby, missing moments like these, and a pang of guilt pricked at him. They had interrupted the woman on the bench. How many others had stories as heartbreaking? "Look!" Lily exclaimed, suddenly breaking the silence. She pointed ahead. A figure was partially obscured behind a large snowdrift. David's pulse quickened as they approached, his breath held tight in his chest. "Was it her, Mom?" Lily called, a note of hope sparkling in her voice. The figure, a young woman wrapped in a coat too big for her, turned around slowly. Her face was gaunt, lined with worry and desperation. But when she saw them, recognition washed over her features. "Lily!" she cried, jumping to her feet, her eyes wide with disbelief. "Mom!" Lily rushed forward, wrapping her arms around her mother tightly. David felt the warmth of their reunion spread through him, flooding his heart with joy, but it was mingled with questions. Was this the moment they'd been waiting for? Or was there more to the story? "Aren't you cold?" Lily's mom asked, her voice soft yet strained. "I've been so worried, Mom. This is David. He helped me find you." David nodded, feeling both proud yet overshadowed by the weight of her distress. "I just wanted to make sure she was safe. We were looking for you." Understanding flickered in her eyes, but there was still fear lingering beneath the surface. "I didn't know where to go after everything fell apart." Her voice trembled, looking down at Lily. "I'm sorry I worried you." David's heart sank at the burden she carried. The tears that brimmed in her eyes were a clear reflection of the pain hidden within. He sensed the fragility of the moment. The reunion was a patch but not a solution. All of a sudden, it struck him. This wasn't just a lost mother being found. This was the beginning of a much deeper journey toward healing. "Can we get you something warm?" he offered gently, glancing at Lily, who was still wrapped in her mother's arms, a picture of comfort against all odds. Lily's mother shook her head slowly. "No, thank you, but I just need to figure things out. I need to get back on my feet." David fought against the urge to reason with her, to tell her she didn't have to do it alone. How could he help them both? As much as his heart wanted to leap for joy at their reunion, reality pressed down heavier than the snow around them. "Let us walk together," he said finally. "Maybe we can think of something. You don't have to face this alone." As they started moving, the snow began to fall lightly again, blanketing the park in a gentle white. The silence wrapped them in a cocoon, but David felt a sense of urgency brewing inside him. Lily's mother was lost, but he couldn't ignore the reality of what they all faced moving forward. What lay ahead was still uncertain. Each step they took brought the promise of new challenges, new decisions. David glanced down at Lily, who looked up at him with wide, trusting eyes. Would they be able to help her? The question lingered in the air as they walked side by side, the warmth of hope battling with the chill of uncertainty. "Let us find a warm place to talk," he said, focusing on the faint glow lighting up in the distance. But deep down, he was terrified of what that conversation might reveal. Would it truly bring hope or simply more heartache? With every step, the path ahead grew colder, leaving David to wonder just how rapidly their lives would change after this moment. The air shimmered with unspoken possibilities, and he braced himself for what lay ahead. The flickering streetlight ahead beckoned them with a soft glow, like a lighthouse amidst storms. David hurried his steps, aware of the weight of the moment. Every breath hung in the air, a mix of hope and fear settling in the pit of his stomach. He squeezed Lily's hand a little tighter, her small frame beside him a source of quiet strength. Lily's mother followed closely, her eyes scanning their surroundings as if each shadow held potential threats. David could see faint traces of resilience battling against the hopelessness etched into her features. They were almost strangers, yet they were tethered by something profound, a journey through darkness, hoping to find flickers of light. "Where could we go?" David asked softly, not wanting to break the fragile atmosphere. "There's a coffee shop not too far from here. They have hot cocoa, and it's warm. We can talk there." Lily looked up at her mom, anticipation glowing in her eyes. "Can we, Mom? Please?" Her mother hesitated, uncertainty clouding her expression. The temptation of warmth battled with the weight of her struggles. Yet, before she could respond, the sound of distant laughter reached them. David turned. A group of kids, bundled up in colorful coats, were dashing through the snow, their voices ringing with joy. For a brief moment, it felt like an echo of normalcy, a flicker of childhood magic that reminded David of simpler times. "See?" he said, trying to uplift their spirits. "There's still happiness out there." Lily's mom smiled faintly, and perhaps it was enough to persuade her. "Okay, let us go." They arrived at the cafe just a few moments later, the aroma of warm drinks wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. David felt the tension in the air ease a little as they took a seat in a cozy corner. He ordered 3 cups of cocoa, letting the familiarity of the scene wash over him. As steam rose from their mugs, filling the small table with warmth, David turned towards Lily's mother. "I want you to know we're here for you," he said gently. "I can help if you'll let me. I might not have all the answers, but you don't have to navigate this alone." Her gaze dropped, her fingers tracing the rim of her mug. "I don't want to be a burden. I don't even know how to start." Her voice cracked, the emotion spilling out, raw and unfiltered. "You're not a burden." David leaned in, meeting her eyes with sincerity. "Every person deserves support. We all need it sometimes." Lily, sensing the shift in her mother's mood, reached out, placing her tiny hand over her mother's. "We'll figure things out together, right, Mom?" A tear slipped down her mother's cheek, and she quickly wiped it away, shaking her head as if to dispel her doubts. She began, as if searching for the right words. "I need to find a job and a place to stay. I can't keep running." The gravity of her words settled heavily around them. Each challenge seemed insurmountable, the avalanche of life pressing down on her shoulders. David knew they were standing at the edge of something significant, but he couldn't be sure where it would lead. "Every journey begins with a single step," David replied, hoping to give her something to hold on to. "Let us find those steps together." As they spoke, the cafe began to fill with more patrons, laughter and warmth mingling in the air. A holiday decoration hung above, twinkling with light's warmth and brightness amidst the chaos. But even in this brief moment of refuge, David felt another wave of unease crash over him. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was more hidden within the shadows of Lily's mother's past, a complexity that stretched beyond what they faced in the present. What had brought her to this point? What were the demons that lingered in her heart? And as a new resolve brewed within David, he couldn't help but wonder. What secrets lay waiting, and how would they confront them together? The stakes were rising, and as the three of them sat together in that small cafe, the air thickened with the promise of revelations to come. The cafe buzzed with laughter and chatter, the sounds swirling around them like a comfortable embrace. David could see the tension in Lily's mother begin to ease just slightly, but knew they were only at the surface of their troubles. As they sipped their hot cocoa, uncertainty mixed with the warmth swirling in their mugs. "Why don't we come up with a plan?" David suggested, his voice steady and encouraging. "What do you think you could do to start moving forward?" Lily's mom looked thoughtful. "I could look for jobs online more seriously. Maybe at restaurants or retail places. I used to work in a shop," but her voice trailed off, and a shimmer of regret crossed her face. David leaned forward. "You can do it. I've seen how hard you've been trying. You've gotten this far. You can take one more step." The faintest hint of a smile ghosted across her lips. "It feels overwhelming sometimes. I don't want to fail Lily." "You won't," David reassured her. "Every small job is a step closer to something better." Lily nodded enthusiastically. "We'll find a super cool place for you, Mom, and we can decorate it with pretty lights." Then David noticed the shift in mood near the entrance. An older man with a thick gray beard and a woolen red hat shuffled in. His clothes appeared worn, almost threadbare. He approached the counter, squinting at the menu board. The people around him continued their conversations, sipping their drinks without a glance in his direction. "See? There's always someone who needs help," he thought, a pang of sympathy tightening his chest. "We're not alone." With no hesitation, David stood up and walked over to the man. "Excuse me, sir? Would you like something warm to drink?" The man looked surprised, his blue eyes widening. "Oh, I couldn't." David paused, unsure if he should insist or back down. "Please, there's really no trouble. Just pick something you like." After a moment, the man took a deep breath. "A hot cocoa would be nice." David smiled, relieved, and waved over to the barista as he ordered the drink, realizing that sometimes the small gestures felt monumental. While waiting, he returned to his table. "You okay?" Lily asked, watching him intently. "Yep, just doing a little good out there. Fighting against the gray," he said, and winked at her. Lily's mother observed him with a mixture of appreciation and curiosity. "You have a good heart, David." "I'm just trying to help," he replied quietly. When the man's hot cocoa was ready, David took it over to him. "Here you go," he said, passing it over. "Stay warm out there." The man's eyes crinkled with gratitude. "Thank you, young man. Really." David felt a rush of warmth as he walked back, settling into the moment. Lily's mother met his gaze, her expression softening. "I wish I could be more like that," she whispered. "Let us start with small steps. We can help each other get through. You have me and Lily to lean on." Just then, a commotion erupted near the door. A mother was arguing with someone who appeared to be a security guard. Her kid, maybe 6 or 7, clutched her leg, eyes wide and scared. The scene felt charged, tension crackling in the air. "I can't believe this is happening here," David murmured. Lily's mother excused herself and moved closer to the commotion, her heart seemingly drawn to the struggle. David exchanged a worried glance with Lily, who was clearly confused. "What is she doing?" Lily asked, her brow furrowed. "I think she wants to help them," David replied, uncertainty creeping in. "But it could be risky. We don't know what's going on." Lily's mother stepped in, talking to the woman, trying to defuse the situation. Wordlessly, David stood, heart racing, as the cafe's atmosphere shifted. Would they confront yet another shadow of hardship as the night unfolded? Would they find the courage to pull someone back from the edge? just as they were trying to help one another? As David took a step forward, the weight of the night loomed heavy with the possibility of unexpected kindness and the fear of challenges that still lay ahead. Would they find strength in each other or be overwhelmed by their circumstances? David's heart raced as he moved closer to the source of the commotion, urgency lacing his every step. He watched Lily's mother kneel beside the mother and her child. Her voice was a mix of concern and comfort. His admiration for her swelled as she reached out, pouring warmth into a moment tinged with anxiety. "I don't think you should be doing this," David said softly as he approached her, his instinct screaming that intervention could be a double-edged sword. She glanced at him, her eyes firm yet understanding. "David, they need someone right now. It's not just about us," she said, her voice steady amidst the chaos. The security guard's face was hardened, a wall of authority. "Ma'am, you need to back away. This situation is under control." The mother, tears spilling down her cheeks, gripped her son tighter. "I just need a moment to explain. I'm not a bad person. You're causing a disturbance. Let us move this along," the guard insisted, his tone sharp. More customers began to notice the situation. Whispers of discontent bubbled around the cafe. David noticed the eyes of patrons shifting, faces clouding with discomfort as a few people shifted in their seats. He felt that collective heartbeat, the fear, the empathy, the wish to help, but the trepidation that came with it. Lily tugged at David's sleeve, her voice barely above a whisper. "Will they be okay?" He knelt beside her, meeting her gaze. "They will be, Lily. People can surprise you sometimes." Just then, Lily's mother raised her voice, breaking through the tension. "Look, all she wants is to explain. Maybe we can all just take a breath and listen?" Her tone was even and soothing, but the tremor in her voice betrayed the anxiety she felt. The crowd quieted, caught off guard by her confidence. David felt a tightness in his chest, a flicker of hope igniting within him. Perhaps they could break through the wall of frustration that seemed to wrap around the cafe like a heavy fog. The guard hesitated, taken aback by the weight of Lily's mother's words. He glanced at the mother, who looked desperate. A mixture of shame and fear etched across her features. "Ma'am," the guard said more softly, "you have 1 minute. Make it count," he replied, stepping back slightly. The mother, realizing she had a chance, straightened her shoulders. She took a shaky breath, clasping her son close. I'm sorry for the scene. We were kicked out of our place. I was just trying to protect him. It's been hard, you know?" Her voice cracked, eyes pleading with the onlookers. "I didn't want him to see me like this." Lily's mother nodded, her empathy tangible in the air. "We understand. Everyone deserves a chance to be heard. You're not alone." As the mother spoke, David felt the tension soften. Just when it seemed they might find a way through, the cafe door swung open hard, catching everyone's attention. A woman in a heavy coat sweated anger. "What's going on here?" David's stomach dropped. Hope turned into anxiety again. Who was she? Was she with the guard? Just a misunderstanding, the guard spat, clearly frustrated at the way the air had shifted against him. There was a weighty silence as all eyes turned toward the new arrival. David held his breath. "Can't you see they need help?" Lily's mother exclaimed, standing shoulder to shoulder with the family as if to shield them from this unwelcome presence. The cafe felt like a live wire, emotion crackling in every direction. David's heart raced again. Where would this new tension lead? Would kindness prevail, or would it once more be crushed under the weight of fear and misunderstanding? As he glanced at Lily, her eyes wide but bright with hope, he realized they were all in this together. But just how deep would the standing storm of conflict go? Standing on the brink, David wondered if they could truly make a difference tonight, or if, like so many times before, the darkness would reign. The new arrival leaned into the room like a storm, her presence heavy with authority and impatience. She scanned the people huddled together, her eyes sharp and calculating. David felt as if she was carving through the fragile atmosphere, each minute tick echoing in his mind. "Listen," the woman declared, her voice cutting through the tension. "I don't know what's happening here, but you all need to step aside. This is not how civilized people behave. The guard shifted uncomfortably, caught between her reprimand and the unexpected empathy blossoming among the patrons. For a moment, it seemed as if he might defend Lilia's mother, but instead, he remained silent, his posture stiff. For David, the reality of the situation struck him hard. This woman was formidable, and her disdain for the emotional display could crush the tender connection forming around the distressed family. He could see the mother's eyes widen, fear stitching deeper lines into her brow as she braced for the worst. "Please, just give me a moment," the mother pleaded, her voice shaking as she ran her fingers through her son's hair. "I swear, I'm trying to do the right thing. She faltered, her voice thick as the words fought to break free. "I'm just scared." Lilia's mother stepped closer, her protective instincts kicking in. "Scared of what? You need to tell your story. Let us help you." The woman in the coat narrowed her eyes at Lilia's mother, then glared at the security guard. "You're letting this slide?" She's causing a scene. David felt a surge of anger bubbling up inside him. How could this woman disregard the pain etched on that mother's face? "Hold on," he said, his voice rising above the din of rising murmurs. "Just because it's loud doesn't mean it's wrong." Hushed whispers spread through the cafe, and David realized everyone was listening. He wasn't just speaking for the family anymore. He was speaking for every person in that cafe who had felt misunderstood, who had battled their own struggles silently. "Maybe we should just take a moment," he urged, looking each onlooker in the eye. "Life pushes us into corners, and we cannot ignore that. If we all just take a breath and listen." The air hung heavy for a heartbeat, uncertainty twisting in the space around them like smoke. Suddenly, Lilia's soft voice called out, "I think we should be nice." The innocence in her words broke the tension like a brick shattering glass. In an instant, the woman's hard expression softened, just enough for David to see a glimpse of compassion breaking through her exterior. "Nice doesn't fix problems," she scoffed, but her tone lacked confidence now. Lily's mother turned, determination in her eyes. "You're right, but kindness might open a door we never knew existed." Reluctantly, the woman crossed her arms, her rigid stance slowly folding as the crowd held its breath in collective anticipation. David could feel the energy shifting, a flicker of hope dancing in the dimming room. The mother took a step forward, her boy still clutched to her side, but a new spirit firming her voice. "I'm not asking for pity. I'm asking for understanding." At that moment, David felt something change. Could it be? Were they really coming together, forging strength from this unexpected encounter? But just as the atmosphere began to soften, another figure rushed into the cafe, this one clad in a work uniform, dread visibly etched on their face. "There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you." Eyes darted toward this newcomer, and David's heart started racing again. Would this new twist shatter the bond they had begun to forge? Who was this person, and how would they affect the fragile unity in that cafe? The path ahead felt uncertain, and as the room buzzed with new questions, David realized they were just beginning to unravel the real stories hidden behind the surface. The newcomer stepped closer, revealing a young woman, clearly relieved. "I thought I lost you," she exclaimed, wrapping an arm around the mother. "I was so worried." That moment, recognition dawned, and David's heart swelled. This was not just a stranger. It was someone who cared deeply, someone ready to help. The distress and tension began to melt away, replaced by the warmth of reunion. The mother's fear faded, replaced by the comfort of familiarity as she leaned into the embrace. "I'm sorry. I didn't want you to see me like this," she whispered, her voice shaky but filled with relief. The cafe buzzed with energy, a mix of empathy and support as patrons began to understand the layers of pain and love intertwined before them. "It's okay," the young woman replied, her voice soothing. "We'll face it together." David watched as Lily's mother took a step back, her shoulders relaxing as the weight of separation lifted, even if just for a moment. Beside him, Lily stood with wide eyes, absorbing every new twist of emotion unfolding before her. David knelt beside her, feeling the warmth radiating from her little frame. "See how sometimes people just need each other?" he said softly, pride swelling in his heart. Lily nodded, her small hand clutching his tighter as if she understood the depth of connection that had just blossomed amid chaos. The woman in the coat crossed her arms, but her expression had softened. I still think it's a mess, she said lamely, but her tone bore traces of reconsideration. Maybe it's a messy kind of beautiful, Lily's mother suggested, the confident spark in her voice echoing with newfound power. Sometimes life throws us together just when we're at our lowest, to remind us that we're not alone. The cafe patrons exchanged glances, perhaps realizing how interconnected their struggles truly were. David could see resolve forming in their faces, a collective understanding of the vulnerability and strength that lies within them all. Let us do something, David said suddenly, his heart quickening with determination. He turned to the young woman, gesturing toward the mother and child. Can we set up a small collection? For them, for their new start. Something to help them get back on their feet? A chorus of agreements rippled through the room. I can help organize it, said someone near the front. Me too, another called out. Like a wildfire, the idea spread, igniting hope and responsibility in those strapped to the edges of their own lives. I in the corner. The man David had offered cocoa to earlier stepped forward. I'll contribute whatever I can. Just tell me how. His voice was firm, filled with the kind of warmth that comes from knowing what it feels like to struggle, but still finding a way to help. As the spirit of camaraderie swelled, David felt his heart lift. They weren't just offering financial help. They were building a community. This moment was a shift, a dawn breaking over the shadows that had clouded their lives. I can help as well, Lily added, her eyes sparkling. Can we do cookies? Cookies always make people happy. Laughter erupted, breaking the tension. The mother looked at her daughter, gratitude shimmering in her eyes. Thank you, she said softly, realizing the radiance of kindness amidst a world so often tainted with despair. As arrangements were made, David noticed Lily snuggling closer to her mother. He could see in that one gesture the strength that would anchor them in whatever storm came their way. You have this, David whispered to the mother. You have more support than you realize. With every friendly gesture, every commitment to help, the cafe transformed from a battleground of conflict to a sanctuary of hope. The laughter echoed louder and brighter, chasing away the fears that had tangled everyone in that cozy cafe. On a winterous night, David knew this moment was the start of something powerful, a movement of kindness weaving through their lives. They were all learning that even in darkness, warmth can radiate through the smallest acts of compassion. As they talked and made plans, David's heart felt light. This was more than just a rescue mission for Lily and her mother. It was a reminder to him, too. They carried on, laughter resonating through a world that sometimes forgot the beauty of connection. Together, they had found light in the darkest of hours, and David was reminded that real success wasn't just in a boardroom. It was in the souls he touched, in the lives they intertwined in the most unexpected ways. And in that cafe, on the eve of a new Christmas, they all stood shoulder to shoulder, proclaiming they would no longer walk alone. Now you need to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now if this transformation touched your heart and to feed the algorithm. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, and only true fans understand the importance of that.